Alright, so today I'm going to be ranking some sports teams. I'm going to start with NHL. Pretty tough. I don't actually watch hockey much outside of the Predators, who are obviously contenders. You know, they got Matt Duchene, Philip Forsberg, Pecorine. So yeah, they've got to be contenders. You got the Capitals in there. They got a solid team. Backstrom, Ovechkin, Holtby. The Avalanche, they're a pretty good team. McKinnon, Rantanen, Landeskog. Um, you also have the Jets. I think they're a solid team. They've got Line, Hellebuck, that other dude. And then, of course, the Sharks. They got Carlson, Brett Burns, and Hurdle. They lost Pavelski, though. That's pretty unfortunate. Okay, some playoff locks. We got the Dallas Stars. They added Pavelski. They made the playoffs this season. They got better. They'll make the playoffs for sure. You also got the Blues. I don't think they'll win the Stanley Cup again at all, but they'll make the playoffs for sure. They basically have the same exact team. Like Tarasenko, those brothers. Tampa Bay is definitely a contender. They won a lot of games. They choked in the first round, unfortunately for them. But they'll always make the conference finals, except for last year. They choked for some reason. The Bruins, they got the same core, pretty solid team. But Golden Knights definitely made the playoffs. Fleury, whoever else is on there, Marchessault, Carlson. The Penguins, they're definitely made the playoffs. They got Malkin, Crosby. Yeah, I forgot their goalie's name. Letang. Yeah, the Maple Leafs. Nobody knows what's gonna happen with Marner, but they still got Tavares, Matthews. Alright, the Panthers, they got Borowski. And they got Barkov, Mike Hoffman. I think they can make the playoffs. The Devils, they got the Jack Hughes guy. And of course PK Subban. They might make the playoffs, probably not, but maybe. The Coyotes, they were on the bubble last season, so if they overperform, Chicago, they might make the playoffs. They've got Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews. You also got the Oilers. They got the best player in the league, McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins. Ate a bunch of trash. So, maybe McDavid can carry them to the playoffs. We'll see. Not playoffs. The Hurricanes might make the playoffs. I think they're overrated because they swept somebody, I think. Who did they sweep? They swept the Islanders, and they beat the Caps in the first round, but I think they're overrated. They overperformed last season, I think. I don't think the Canucks will make the playoffs. I mean, they've got nobody. They got Pedersen. Canadians, they overperformed last season and didn't make the playoffs. Don't really have any pieces. Carey Price, he's overrated. Blue Jackets, they were the last seed in the playoffs last year. Lost their entire all their good players except for Seth Jones. Ducks, there's not much going over there. I'll put them in really bad, actually. The Red Wings, they're in a process. They've got Larkin, Anthony Ciu, and they have Applicator's contract is way too big. Senators are really bad. They've got nothing going for them. They're trash all around. The Flames will make the playoffs. They've got a solid team. Gaudreau, he's too small for to succeed in the playoffs. The Islander, they might make the playoffs. They lost somebody. They also lost their goalie. The Kings are pretty bad. They're a little bit too old at this point. The Wild, I don't think they'll make the playoffs. Zach Parise, he's getting up there in age. He gets injured. He's kind of washed. Sabres, they won't make the playoffs. They're not very good. I think that they overpaid Skinner. The Rangers, they're a bubble team, and I don't think the Flyers will make the playoffs. All right, moving on. Contenders for the NBA, of course, the Rockets. They're the best team. They got Westbrook. Harden's the best player in the league. Lakers, they got Anthony Davis, LeBron, Dwight Howard, of course. They might be able to compete with the Rockets, probably not. The Clippers are the worst out of this bunch. They got two small forwards. Paul George will get injured. Kawhi is overrated. I think the Sixers are the other contender because they got Embiid. Simmons can't shoot, but they've got Al Horford, Embiid, Tobias Harris. I feel like there's somebody else that I'm missing, but they've got a solid starting roster. The Utah Jazz, they've got Donovan Mitchell. They also, I think, traded for Mike Conley. They've got solid spacing, and then Rudy Gobert. All right, playoffs. The Raptors will make the playoffs. Pretty sure they lost Kawhi, but they still got Kyle Lowry, Ibaka, Gasol, a few pieces. The Warriors, they'll make the playoffs easily. They got Steph Curry. Pistons will probably make the playoffs. They got Blake Griffin. The East is pretty trash. They'll probably get like a 7th seed. The Spurs will make the playoffs. I mean, they just always do. Trailblazers, they'll make the playoffs. They got Lillard, McCollum. Nurkic is injured, but their backcourt's enough to get to the playoffs. Celtics will make the playoffs for sure. They lost Kyrie, but they got Kemba, who's a quality point guard. He's not on Kyrie's level. Nets will make the playoffs for sure. They got Kyrie. KD's injured, but the East isn't very good outside of the top 3 now, because the Raptors are gone. The Bucks will make the playoffs for sure. They got Giannis, who robbed Harden of the MVP, but he's still a good enough player to make the playoffs in the East. Maybe playoffs. Magic. They got in last season. They got a few solid pieces like Aaron Gordon, Vucevic. I think they'll make the playoffs. The Pacers, they lost their small forward like Bogdanovich or something. He went to the Jazz. He's a big piece. Darren Collison retired. There's not much going for them. I think Oladipo is still injured. I think they'll make the playoffs though. The Mavs, I think they made the playoffs because no, I'll put them in definitely playoffs because Porzingis, he's coming back. They still got Doncic. They'll make the playoffs, pretty sure. OKC, people are sleeping on them. They got Chris Paul. I mean, they're not a good team, but Chris Paul he might be looking to get a team to the playoffs. The Nuggets, they're playoff locks. They got Jokic, Gary Harris, Jamal Murray. They'll definitely get to playoffs. They were 2nd seed last year. Some bad teams. The Bulls, they won't make the playoffs. They don't have much going for them outside of there's not much there. The Timberwolves, they're gonna lose Cat. He's got to leave in free agency at some point. They're so bad outside of Cat. The Suns are trash. The Knicks are also trash. The Hawks, I think that they can make the playoffs. Trae Young's pretty good. John Collins is pretty good. Cam Reddish, people are sleeping on him. The Kings might make the playoffs. They got Fox, Buddy Hield. Hornets, they're the worst team in the league. Easy. Their best player, I don't know who their best player is. Kemba and Jeremy Lamb, I think both left. I can't remember. Either Malik Monk or Jeremy Lamb left. They're trash. The Miami Heat, they don't have. There's not much there. The Pelicans, they might make the playoffs. They're overrated. Brandon Ingram, he's pretty over. He's an overrated asset. Lonzo Ball, he can't shoot. I think he's a good player. Zion, he's overhyped. He's a good player, but I don't think he's gonna be able to drag the Pelicans to the playoffs. But they still got Drew Holiday, so they might make the playoffs. The Grizzlies, they won't make the playoffs. They're in a rebuilding process. The Cavs are trash. The Wizards, I don't, unless John Wall comes back, they won't make the playoffs. Bradley Beal's not good enough to carry them to the playoffs. Alright, that's me ranking some teams. Yeah.